This week's project may be small in size, but it turned out to be a beautiful piece, and it's walnut. I couldn't turn down a piece of walnut. It really is the king of all hardwoods. Please stay tuned and see what beauty came out of this piece of wood. So this week is a bit of a treat. I have walnut. I don't often get walnut. Let me rephrase that. I never get walnut. This is the first piece I've turned. It doesn't grow around here. I'm from New Brunswick, Canada, on the east coast of Canada, and it generally does not grow here. It does grow further west. Central part, Ontario has a lot. But walnut is considered one of those, some people call it the king of hardwood. So I was fortunate to get a piece. It's kind of an odd piece. It's 7 inches diameter. It's 8 inches tall. It was part of a much longer log, which I'm going to save for other things. But I could split this in half and get 2 small bowls out of it. If you're new to my channel, I'm not really into small bowls. I like to turn bigger bowls. But I don't mind turning interesting vase type things. So I think I will make an enclosed vessel. So I've got a few options. I could, because I made it 7 inches tall, I could make an enclosed going this way, which would be side grain like most bowls. Or I could cut it end grain, which I think is what I'll do. I'm going to mount a faceplate up on this. I've already got some cracks there. That's the problem with end grain. When you expose this, you sometimes will get cracks. But I think I'm going to put a faceplate on here, turn it end grain, capture this piece here. It'll be gone, but at least as it extends inside, that branch will be there. So that might make for something interesting. But I think that's the plan at this point. Get a faceplate on it, get it on the lathe, and we'll turn it end grain. I started at about 400 RPM using my roughing gouge, and it turned pretty quickly. So that's 1,000 RPM there now. I started out at 400. Once this branch came off, I was able to speed it up. I'm now at 1,000. You can see here that branch is going to add some character. I do have a bark inclusion and a bit of rod right there, but I'm not done out of the bark yet. So I'll go a bit smaller, and then we'll see what we're dealing with. The way the shavings are coming off, I think it's time for slow motion. I hope you all like slow motion as much as I do. If you're a turner and you're learning, it's good to see how I'm holding the bevel up against the wood, the angle at which I'm presenting it, and you can learn something from that. If you just like watching wood go round, then it's very entertaining as well. Now you can really start to see it taking shape. I'm just using the top half of this piece of wood. That'll become important a bit later on. But here I am starting to hollow it out. It is end grain, so I was using my carbide tool primarily to do the hollowing. The carbide tool does a good job at cutting end grain. Here's what you would think would be the final piece in its shape, but unfortunately I cut through the bottom. So I did end up doing a second one. So that's why I mentioned earlier that the fact that I still had some more wood left over would become significant. I'll skip through this fairly quickly because shaping it was very similar to what you saw earlier. I ended up with the very same shape as I did on the first piece. I thought I was going to keep a flared rim on this piece, but that turned out that that was not the case either, as you'll see. Again, this is a better shot of cutting the end grain. I did drill a hole through, and then using the carbide tool, working from the center out, is probably the best way to cut end grain. Well, I'd like to tell you that a design decision was made to get rid of that flared rim. But unfortunately it wasn't so much a design decision as it was a crack, and then it broke off. So it's gone. I'm not sad. I still like this shape. Makes it a lot easier to see what's going on inside. Got to thin it out a little bit more. There's a little ridge right there inside, but the rest is pretty good. Maybe I'll go just a little tiny bit more on the bottom, but that's pretty well to shape. As usual, I'm not going to show all the sanding, but I'm just showing here the starting grit, but I will show a little more detail than I normally do. I did use some paper right down at the very bottom just to sand around the foot. And I did sand this up to 3000. If you watched last week's video, it's a new process for me. And then I just rubbed on some tongue oil. Although this wood had shine and gloss before even applying the finish, but the finish really popped. Walnut really takes an oil finish very, very well. It's amazing the gloss in this piece. Now I move to sanding the inside. What I'm using here is a dowel, which has a slit in it, and then I just put a piece of sandpaper, as you can see, in that slit, and that works like a flapper wheel and does a good job at sanding the inside of this piece. So this is not an overly large piece. It's 4.5 inches at the widest part, and the opening is 1.25 inches, and it's 2.5 inches tall. But it is walnut. Very, very beautiful colored wood. The grain is beautiful, the coloring is beautiful, and I like the shape. Not sure what the recipient of this is going to use it for. I think you'd refer to it as a weed pot. Weed as in the flower, not the stimulant. I do like the shape. And again, walnut, it's a beautiful, beautiful wood. Thank you for watching. So here's the finished product. I'm very pleased with the way it turned out. Again, thank you for watching.